All right, good morning, everybody. It is 10:03 on the 6th of March, and welcome to the 10th 2024 edition of Coastal Drone Live Room.
Is it 10?
Yeah,
Wow.
10, number 10. You got me and you got Jen here this morning, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the Collaborative Flight Planning Services and WXRecall. The Collaborative Flight Planning Services is the new website put forward by NAV Canada. It's been in development for a couple of years now, I think about 4 years, and it replaces the old Aviation Weather website, AWWS. So today we're going to do a little bit of an overview on some of the weather products that are provided by the Collaborative Flight Planning Services. We're going to talk a little bit about like exactly what you can get with some of these products, and then we're going to talk about maybe just making a couple weather briefings using the Collaborative Flight Planning Services. We're going to talk about the Collaborative Flight Planning Services. We're going to talk about what WXRecall, and then we can open it up for questions. So as I mentioned, the Collaborative Flight Planning Service is the new official source for weather and NOTAMS. This is the link here. It's spaces.navcanada, workspace, and then flight planning. I'm going to show you what this looks like in a moment. On the Collaborative Flight Planning Service, you can get flight plans, weather, ASEP, which is like route data for weather and NOTAMS. You can get weather cameras, you can get NOTAMS, and you can get RVR, which is runway visibility range. So this is what that looks like. So you can, if you were a aircraft, you could file a flight plan. You can get weather, you can get ASEP, you can get weather cams. So if I click on weather cams, I can get some of the weather cams. Let's see. It's been snowing here off and on in Metro Van, so let's see what it looks like at YVR. Ah, it looks better than it did this morning.
Beautiful now.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all.
Oh, a little bit sunny out there.
Yeah, looks like the clouds are breaking over the horizon. You can get NOTAMS and you can get live RVR. The RVR is runway visibility range. That's for IFR aircraft.
Some other stuff in there too. I haven't actually dove too deep in it. Airport diagrams is kind of nice.
Yeah, airport diagrams. Let's see. Oh yeah, so it's got this is like the whole page for everything. So how to read a NOTAM, the new ICAO NOTAM format, runway surface conditions, weather services, and then different weather manuals, phraseology guides, and airport charts, and the designated airspace handbook. All of that available. spaces.navcanada.ca/workplace/flight planning. FIC contact information as well. This is also in the Aeronautical Information Manual, but this is if you needed to file a flight plan or you wanted to get a weather and NOTAM briefing from an actual person. The main one that we're going to look at today is WXRecall. So the WXRecall is where you get different weather products. Some of the basics on WXRecall. So you can get NOTAMS, which is Notice to Airmen or Notice to Air Missions. You can get your METARs, which is the Meteorological Aerodrome Reports. Your TAFs, which is the Terminal Area Forecast. PIREPs, which are pilot reports. So if a pilot is flying and they encounter some sort of event, they could call and give a report. This is where you would find the report. And also you'll get your GFAs, which is your graphical forecast areas. You can get a GFA for weather, or you can get it for icing and turbulence. These are some of the basic products that WXRecall provides. Some of the advanced products, you'll get your SIGMETs, which is significant weather. So this is things like volcanic ash, thunderstorms, something that would seriously affect your flight. You'll get your AirMets, which is hazardous weather for single-engine aircraft. This is where you can get information about low-level wind shear, turbulence, that sort of thing. You'll get the FDs, which is also known as the upper winds. Nobody knows why the upper winds are called FDs. It's an unknown acronym. If anybody knows, please let me know. And you can get analysis charts for surface winds and significant weather, and you can also get weather radar. So you can get weather radar for cloud tops, like Echo Top. You can get weather radar for rain and weather radar for snow. So how do we put this into practice if we're actually using WXRecall to make a weather brief? Well, I like to start big and small. You can start with the GFA, get the big picture. So the GFA, we'll look at this in a minute, but the GFA regions, it's like there's a GFA for BC, there's a GFA for the whole prairies, there's a GFA for Ontario, there's a GFA for Quebec, and then there's a GFA for the Maritimes, and then a GFA for up north. Whichever region you're in, you can see it across the whole region. Then I like to kind of zoom in a little bit. If it's especially in Metro Vancouver, where we get rain bands that come through here, precipitation and cloud radar. See if there's any clouds or rain that's in the region that could affect my flight. And then you can get your TAFs or your METARs. So that's what's happening at your local big airports. So most larger airports will have a METAR, and then some of them will have a TAF. Even some smaller airports have a TAF as well. And then you can also get ATIS, which is the Automatic Terminal Information Service, which is available at some smaller airports and some bigger airports too. So I asked Jen earlier, where do you want to fly today?
Ooh, where do we want to fly today? Should we pick somewhere maybe out east?
Sure. Let's do a one for out east and then a one for here.
Yeah.
So let's say that we want to fly in the Montreal area. That's an easy one. We go over to plan.navcanada.wxrecall. So when you're here, plan.navcanada.wxrecall, this is the screen that you're met with. You put the aerodrome ID in the top left corner here. So for Montreal, that's CYUL. On the left-hand side here, this is where you can get all of your weather products. So the ones I mentioned, SIGMETs, AirMets, NOTAMS, METAR, TAF, PIREP, upper winds. This is your precipitation and cloud radar. You can get satellite view, graphical forecast, significant weather, turbulence charts, this sorts of thing. So as I mentioned before, I like to start big and go small. Now, you can select everything at once. I find it a little bit cluttered. I just kind of will do one thing at a time. So we'll start with the GFAs. Clouds and weather, icing, turbulence, and freezing level. I'm going to click search, and then it's going to show me for Ontario and Quebec. So there's Ontario and then there's Quebec. On the GFA, these red lines, these denote areas of same weather. For drone pilots, the big thing to look out for is areas that are in green. Areas that are in green are areas of precipitation. That's like just the straight up the most important thing. And you can see, because this is a forecast, we can go through and we can see what's happening. So you can see that this band of green is kind of moving along. So if we were flying in and around Montreal, it doesn't look like that, or it looks like that at some point, this green is gonna hit Montreal and then move on. And then we're gonna scroll down and look at the icing and turbulence. Icing is in blue, turbulence is in red. So you can see here that the icing will be from the freezing level to 180. Any thing like this, you just multiply by 100, so 18,000 feet. So I'm looking to see, so from the freezing level, that's these lines here. So from 7,500 feet to 18,000 feet, we're expecting some icing. So if we were doing a drone flight, we're not flying above 7,000 feet. So we're good to go for that one. So we mentioned that there's a some potential precipitation. So I'm going to uncheck those, and then I'm going to check the regional CAPPI for rain and the regional CAPPI for snow. And we're going to get the CAPPI. And so then this is the one for rain. These are pretty easy to read. Basically, the darker the color, the more precipitation there is. So now looking specifically at the CAPPI, we can, if we kind of see where Montreal is, it looks like that the rain is going to dodge Montreal. It looks like it's all in the south of the St. Lawrence there in that area. So if we were in Sherbrooke, then we would be maybe having a little bit more. And then if we look at the snow, we can also see that it's maybe less ducking Montreal, but still it's mostly to the south.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
not too bad.
So we've got a regional picture. We may have some rain, we may have some snow. So then I'm going to uncheck these, and then I'm going to hit METAR and I'm going to hit TAF. Now, one thing for METAR, I like to at least see the last 3 hours, see the trend. See if it's trending up, see if it's trending down. I'm going to hit search, and then we're going to get the METARs at the top and then the TAF down here. One of the things that is a little bit not so great about this service is that I don't think that they have the plain language versions anymore.
Yeah, you used
so
to be
on
able
the
to.
old Aviation Weather website, you used to be able to get everything in plain language, and then be able to get it in plain language and decipher it more easily. That being said, we're just we will break it down in a moment. So METAR. So the thing to remember: the METAR versus TAF. METAR ends in R for report. TAF, F for forecast. So report's what's happening right now. Forecast is in the future. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to put it here. METAR. So as we mentioned, METAR equals report. R for report. CYUL. Well, that is the airport. This is the, so 06, this is the date of the month. 1800 Zulu, that's 8 o'clock.
Quick math, I like it. Then you've got your winds.
Yes, so you've got your winds. So in a wind, the first 3 digits is the wind direction. Breeze, true. So that this is without having applied magnetic correction. So in this case, it's it's 030, and then 16, gusting 22 knots. I would consider this relatively high wind. 15 SM, so this is the visibility. So the visibility is always in statute miles. That's like US car miles per hour miles. I'm not sure why that's the case, but that's the case. Light, rain. So if you see a minus, that's light. If you see a plus, that's rain or RA is rain. SN is snow. These are the most common ones you'll see. FG, fog, and BR is mist. Next is the clouds. For the cloud, you'll see, for drone pilots doesn't matter so much, but you'll see sky clear. So you'll see SKC, which is sky clear. You'll see few, which is few. You'll see BKN, which is broken, and you'll see SCT, which is scattered. You'll see broken, and you'll see OVC, which is overcast. The more important thing for drone pilots is the height of the cloud. So basically all you do is you take this number and you multiply it by 100. So in this case, we see 11 times 100. This is 1,100 feet AGL. Next, the temperature and the dew point. So it's the temperature is 5 degrees, dew point is 3 degrees. So that's a very narrow dew point spread, means high probability of precipitation, fog, or clouds. And then this is the altimeter setting.
And then the remark.
And then the remark, this is just which type of clouds are in the area and the sea level pressure. So here's a question for you, Jen.
Oh, no.
So you can see these METARs over the last 3 hours getting better, getting worse, staying the same. I'm also going to look at them and then we can compare notes.
I would say it's generally staying the same. The winds are coming down.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The ceiling is hovering around 1,000 feet. And there's another cloud layer hovering around 2,000 feet or just below 2,000 feet. Visibility is staying the same. Wind is around.
The direction's staying roughly the same.
Wind direction staying roughly the same. Wind speed staying around 15 knots. So I would say, yeah,
Dew
staying the
point
same.
is similar.
Yeah. If we were doing the flight right now, I would only look at the METAR. If we were doing the flight in 3 hours, I would look at the TAF. TAF is read the same way, except you just have to be careful about what time everything is. So the first time here, this is the issue time. This is the forecast period. So you can see this is a 24-hour forecast period.
And don't forget too, the Zulu time is at the top there.
Yeah.
In the very top of the area, so you can actually compare it just so you know when you're looking at it or when you've requested that information.
Exactly. So you can see that this is a 24-hour forecast, but the forecast isn't staying exactly the same for the full 24 hours. You see FM, this is from. So from the 7th day of the month at 0600 Zulu, this is going to be the change. Ability of 30%, that is going to look like this. So broken at 800 feet, overcast at 1,200 feet. From the 7th at 0900 Zulu, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like from 07 at 1300 Zulu, it's going to look like that, and so on and so forth. So you just read down the line to see how the weather is changing throughout the day. For most TAFs, you'll see it's normally a 24-hour forecast. YVR has a 36-hour forecast, which we can look at in a second.
I mean, big thing there too. I feel like for drone pilots, you're looking at the wind, you're looking at the rain. Like that's all the stuff that you really want to get to know.
Exactly. So we mentioned before, 16 gusting 22. So let's say 22 knots, 2 meters per second. That's 11 meters per second. So if we were flying like what some of the earlier Mavics, some of the earlier Phantoms, they can fly up to 10.7 meters per second. So in this case, that's a no-go.
Yeah. So these are important, especially too. You're risking a lot when it's going that.
Exactly. I don't want to see anybody's drone in a tree.
Yeah.
Let's do another one.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what it's doing here.
Yeah, let's check out Vancouver.
Let's check out Vancouver. We'll start again, same thing. Here is the GFA.
I like this one too now. The GFAs before, I think we had to exit out, right, and go back in. I can't remember. We didn't?
No,
or you scrolled?
You just scrolled, yeah.
Yeah.
But this one you can just like play it
yeah.
and it will show you what's happening.
Yeah, it is kind of nice.
So this line here, this is just a front. This is actually an occluded front. And you can see that there's some precipitation for this area at 0600 Zulu. As I mentioned before, 18 Zulu, that's 8 o'clock here. So at 8 o'clock here, it's 10 o'clock now as we're recording. So this is probably the most accurate one. You can see in this box here, this is the box for Metro Vancouver. It does call for light showers of rain and snow with mist.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
And at the airport, I heard from one of my colleagues at the airport that it is snowing.
Nice.
Or it was snowing off and on today. But you can see that they didn't actually put the green box there. They just said that it might happen. So sometimes you got to be careful. And then if we look at the icing and turbulence, you can see that there is a chance for icing between 3,000 and 4,000 feet up to 6,000 feet, mixed icing. So I'm not going flying today.
Probably not the best idea.
No, I'm not. It is unlawful to fly until known icing
Yes,
conditions.
exactly.
So I'm not doing that. But if I was, I'm probably going to go fly the Phantom later today. But
Okay.
if I was
He's
flying the
waiting for
drone, I
those.
would not be concerned about the icing because it's above 3,000 feet.
True.
And I'm not flying above 3,000 feet. So then let's look at the CAPPI. You can see the Vancouver CAPPI looks a little bit different. This is the one for rain, and this is the one for snow. And again, on these ones, you can just play. If you see like a big line like this that's extending like all the way, that normally means that there's that's just like an artifact. That doesn't mean that there's this one triangle of heavy snow that extends in a perfect triangle away from the radar. So we can actually see that there's actually not really a lot going on in terms of snow right now, and in terms of rain.
It could be a nice day.
Could be a nice day, yeah. You'd have to look outside. And then I would pull up the METAR. So I'm going to pull up the METAR, and Jen's going to decode it for us.
Perfect. So we've got YVR on there. All right. And we are on the 6th of March at 1800 Zulu. Again, you can just reference the Zulu at the top where you've performed your search. We've got 090 at 4 knots. So actually not too windy out there today. And then we have 20 statute miles scattered at 2800. Oh, sorry. 080. Oh, variable to 170.
So this is the wind direction. So what they're saying is the wind is variable from 080 to 170.
So it's changing.
So it's changing.
Yeah.
It's going back and forth.
Sorry. And 20 statute miles. So that's, I mean, you can tell that's a good day if you're 20 statute miles. You can see quite far. Scattered. And then we've got another scattered
At what altitude?
2,800. And then 11,000 broken at 16,000, broken at 18,000. I actually don't know what the M in front of the O2 means.
Minus.
Oh, there we go.
So
Okay.
the temperature is 3 and the dew point is
It's
minus
2. So not too bad. And then A30.
Altimeter setting.
Thank you. Like, why am I blanking? And then you've got a remark and they're just telling you.
This is the type of clouds that they're observing. So it's stratocumulus 3/8 of the sky, altocumulus 1/8 of the sky, altocumulus 2/8 of the sky, altocumulus 1/8 of the sky. I have never encountered a scenario in which the remark section has really affected
Drone.
a whole lot of
Yeah.
even a fixed wing aircraft
Fair.
flight, to be honest.
Fair.
And then let's take a look at the TAF. Just a general question about the TAF. Do you expect any precipitation today based on this TAF?
Let's see. No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay, so a little bit of inside baseball. Earlier today, Jen told me that she's taken the R44 for a rip later.
Yeah.
Do you based on this TAF, is it a go or no go?
For a rip later.
For a rip in the R44.
Based on the YVR, I would say it's a go.
Yes, and I'm also potentially doing a flight later today. Based on this TAF, I would say it's a go. I'm
I'm
probably
not seeing anything that's popping out at me.
I have the Phantom at home, so I'm probably gonna fly it when I get home after I fly a fixed wing aircraft. And I would say that based on this TAF, for both of those aviation activities.
I mean, we can see the wind is moving around a little bit, but nothing over really. I think the highest is 8 knots, which is really nothing.
8 knots, 2 meters per second. That's 4 meters per second. So that's well within the limitations of most drones on the market today.
And then we don't really have a lot of cloud coverage. 6 statute miles, great visibility, not looking too bad.
And then the other thing that we would need to check is NOTAMS. This is the NOTAMS for the YVR. You can see that the radius is currently set. I can set it to 10. I could set it up to 50, so it would tell me all of the NOTAMS within. And I'm going to search for NOTAMS. Now the NOTAMS is the hardest one to read because on this one it's harder to filter some NOTAMs. So they're just going to give you all of the NOTAMs that are present in the Vancouver region. Most of these NOTAMs are not going to be relevant to drone pilots. Due to reduced system capacity VFR aircraft, as soon as I see VFR aircraft, I'm not thinking about that anymore. This is a peripheral station, unserviceable. That's just like a radio. IFR aircraft departing. Cranes erected within 30 nautical miles of Vancouver International Airport. I am not surprised that there is a crane in Vancouver.
But please note.
But please note, in response to security situation in Lebanon.
Yeah.
In response to security situation in Israel. Person connected with Russian Federation or of Belarus. Adjustment to the ADIZ. We're not flying on the ADIZ. ADSB and FAA airspace and an amendment to the designated airspace airbook. So this might actually... No, because we can't fly in FAA airspace, so it doesn't matter. Autoland procedures not recommended in runways covered by ISEDs. Our drones use autoland, but I don't think you're going to be landing it on a runway.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild.
A bunch of, mandatory IFR routes. That's IFR.
They've deleted, added.
Yeah, they've got rid of a bunch, added a bunch. The lighting at the Children's Hospital helipad is different than what it says in the CFS. Amended for the customs for the water aerodrome to say that it excludes holidays. Very good. This one could actually be potentially useful, maybe, a runway surface report. So you can see it's 100% wet, 100% wet, 100% wet. So this is the first third, the second third, and the third third chemically treated. We're not landing on a runway, but if you're operating, but if the runway is covered in snow, then maybe where you're flying could also be covered in snow. Maybe this isn't...
I see where you're going.
Yeah, maybe this isn't helpful. Now that I actually say it out loud.
Saying it.
But that's what this is. Taxiway not available below a runway visibility range of 1,200 feet. Not available for departure when same. Missed approach, procedure change. Yeah, this is why I don't like this new NOTAM system, because I'm wading through all of this to see if there's anything
relevant.
Anything relevant at all.
There is daily migration of snow geese, though. That could be
relevant, but
yeah.
I also just knew that.
I mean, it's always good to look just to see if there's anything that does pop out that maybe they've erected something new and you didn't realize, and you went out flying and it obstructed your entire flight.
So this is why I don't really like this. So we just spent almost 10 minutes checking a bunch of NOTAMs, and we've determined that none of them. There was 51 results, and we determined that maybe we could see 4 of them potentially being of use to us.
Yeah.
But it is still a requirement of your site survey to check NOTAMs. So
this will be relevant a lot too in the summer.
In
with
the summer,
fires,
yes,
right?
exactly, with the fires.
Big...
So the map.nav drone will have the NOTAM. We think will have the NOTAMs available on the map. But if you wanted the precise geographic coordinates, they will be listed in the actual NOTAMs.
Yeah. So I think summertime you'll definitely want to be looking at those a lot.
All right. So that's how to use the collaborative flight planning service, how to use WXRecall, and some of the weather products we have available to us. Does anybody have any questions?
There was the other day I was looking at something, I didn't know what the abbreviation was. You can just Google it. Just make sure that you're finding something that is legitimate, like from Transport Canada, so that you're getting the right information and we're not just winging it.
Or Nav Canada, because this is technically a Nav Canada product, so they're technically the ones that make all the acronyms and stuff. But
so finding that was helpful. I found a big list, and then I just looked in that list to see.
That's where you can, when we were talking about the airport, if you click on the airport diagram, see like the NOTAM references.
There you go, yeah.
So NOTAM operating procedures, and then the ICAO NOTAM format and stuff. So this is where you can
find all that information.
Yeah, take a look at this information.
Yeah.
So NOTAM operating procedures, and this is a 250-page manual. So
light read.
Light read.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home and read it tonight.
Yeah.
That was maybe not a joke.
Yeah. Instead of watching Netflix, I think playing around on it. I've been trying to play around on it myself to get more familiar with it. I also do think, like Finn did, was get rid of like the fluff. So click on what you actually need, because it can get pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, I'll show you what it looks like when you click on everything at once, and just how long. So if I want the full everything, NOTAM, METAR, weather, PIREP. I normally get PIREPs. If I wanted the regional CAPPI, if I wanted the GFAs, this is what it would look like if I got this all for just one airport. So you can see. We start with the METARs, and then 66 items. I
mean, maybe if you're printing it out, and
if you're printing it out,
circling and highlighting, that might be.
This is like. So I like to just get one thing at a time. That's just my strategy for using this site.
Yeah, and I think biggest takeaways, obviously, as you guys already know, the winds. Great to know those, and great to know the cloud coverage, and obviously you can also look outside to see a lot of that information when you're a drone pilot. But the winds you can't really decipher.
If it's close to your limits, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between 10 meters per second and 11 meters per second.
Yeah.
So if it's close to the limits, it's good to get an official source. And the last thing to say, this CFPS is the only official Nav Canada source for weather and NOTAM information. I guess technically NavDrone is an official source for NOTAM information for forest fires, but like it's actually drawing its info from this. So
And if you go to AWWS, it'll take you right back.
yeah,
to that
it'll
page.
redirect you now.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what I used to go, and then it just takes
Yeah.
you back here.
So if you can't remember,
Yeah.
because I couldn't remember what this spaces dot whatever, I mean bookmark it, but I just typed in AWWS and got to the
bookmarked.
same spot.
Well, that's our look at the collaborative flight planning services, and we hope that you learned a thing.
One or two.
One or two. Otherwise, if you have any questions about anything you'd seen today, you can shoot me an email, finn@coastaldrone.co. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.